Hello, Nadine. So today I'm going to welcome Nadine, who has had a human design soul discovery magic session with me. And she's going to just tell you a little bit about how it was for her. So shall we just start off with what actually prompted you to have the reading?
Well, first of all, hello, and thank you for having me on because this is really exciting. I've been dying to tell the world about you already. Okay, so what prompted me to have this reading? Number one, right? There is something about your energy, Shirley, that, every time I kind of speak to you or I've come across anything that you write or any of your pictures that you post, there's something really quite kind of powerful and attractive about your soul. So for me, I do a lot of soul imprints. So for me, it was like, okay, I need to connect with this woman. And then, of course, when we started talking, and I realized that you do human design, and I'm so interested in that to learn more about me, but also to learn more about who I want to connect with out in the world and where I want my work to go. That was really important. Now, I've had human design readings before, but I've never quite got to grips with it. I know this sounds weird because it's like you know it, but then it's not that you forget it, but it's almost like then you don't know it because it's such a big and vast I suppose subject you could call it, that there's so much to it that if you're not really an expert, like I'm not, and I honestly don't think I ever would be because there's just so much to it. But if you're not an expert, then you take it all in. It sounds great, but putting that into practice in the outside world is a completely different kettle of fish. And
Mhm.
that was why when I saw other people had spoken about your human design readings, and I thought, okay, you know what, I love this woman, let me try this. So that was what prompted me.
Mm.
It was kind of a bit of what I want, but a bit of who Shirley is that kind of like mixed in.
Oh, that's lovely. So during the session,
Yeah.
what stood out for you? So during the actual time we spent together, what stood out to you as maybe different or things that actually have impacted you?
Okay, so I mean, first of all, straight away, as soon as you started to speak about the human design, I knew that you were going to be able to explain this in a way that my brain is going to understand, the way that I can take it in. Um, and you know that I have spirit coming in quite a lot. So while you were speaking, I was still getting confirmation from spirit, almost
Mm.
like prodding in my I want to say in my neck. It was like the side of my shoulder, my neck. I don't know if you noticed that when
Wow.
we were on Zoom,
Yeah.
but and I kept going like this every now and again because they kept prodding me, and that was like, are you listening? This is right. This is for you. So I always go with that, whatever spirit is kind of directing me towards. But the main part for me was the way that you explain it in a humanized way, right? In a way that pretty much anyone can understand it. I could have had my 11-year-old granddaughter here, and she would have understood it. It was done in such a way that someone who doesn't understand human design really gets to grips with their own human design. So it's not that I wanted to learn it for the outside, for to do it for anyone else. Just wanted it for me.
Yeah.
And the way that you explained it was perfect. The impact that had is that I've been, well, living it. I've actually started to do some of the
Yes.
things that you were guiding me towards. And because you were showing me on the chart as we were doing the Zoom, it was really easy for me to be able to see. And of course, I've still got the recording for me to be able to see what you were talking about and
Mm.
how that connected with something else and where that wasn't connected. And
Mm.
just because I always panic when I see something not connected, I think, oh my God, that's like the worst parts of me. What does that mean?
Yeah.
So the fact that you put all of that into like one huge big package wrapped up with a bow, it was like, okay, this is pretty, this is understandable, I get it, and I'm just rolling with it, and it's been amazing.
So what sort of things have you been putting into practice, if you don't mind me asking?
So hopefully you'll remember. But there was a point where you said to me, and it was a lot to do with spirit and the way that I connect and I bring things in, and I'm out here doing things for other people, and I do have this message that I can spread. And I've always thought when I've listened to other human design about mine, that the message meant that it had to be for the masses.
Mm,
Um, and actually, the way that you broke it down for me with the connection of all the other things to do with the throat and the mind, all of that reconnected back into, okay, I don't have to have a mini meltdown and work with 1,000 people. I can actually work with individuals on a one-to-one because it's more about the message that I'm bringing. So
mm,
that kind of, do I want to say it calmed my nervous system? Because I'm not really a nervousy kind of person. I'm quite confident and
yeah.
nothing really phases me. I just kind of go with it. Maybe that's to do with age as well, a little bit. But um, it did calm me to the point where I was like, I know the direction I'm going in is right. There was other parts as well where it was more about the voice. So I've kind of started to do more lives again, which I used to
Mm,
do in the past. And,
yeah.
and I kind of stopped for some reason, but I did start to do some more lives, which is good.
Mm,
Um, and the arts oracle, which is something that's completely new to the entire world. That
that came
was,
through.
although it was already, yeah, it was already in development, but because of the reading that I had with you, some of the dots that were connected that I was still a little bit unsure of how I'm going to roll with this arts oracle. It was almost like this little, like there was 1,000 aha moments coming in, and I was like, oh my God. And I'm trying to remember everything without
Mm,
sitting there trying to write it all down while you're talking. And multitasking isn't always the best thing. Um, and I've watched the replay a few times, and I'm like, yes, that what I'm doing with the Arts Oracle, I know what I'm doing. There's so many more developments that have come from that
oh, amazing.
because of the reading. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Is that for me, when that came through, I was like, that landed even for me. I was like,
yeah,
yes, okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
absolutely correct. Because um, when I read intuitively. Yes, it's the chart, but it's
yeah,
also stuff that comes through.
yeah.
So it was amazing to actually read for you. I love all my readings, but I absolutely that the just what was going on there was just awesome. So
Yeah, it was.
as a generator, because
Mm.
we have the designs. So as a generator, has the reading changed some things in your life as to how you are operating?
Yes, I think I think I always got confused with generator, especially working from the sacral as well. It was like, oh God, I
Mm,
can't, I've got to wait for something to happen and I can't run with anything. So I would sit there quite often twiddling my thumbs thinking, okay, this isn't right. So then I would just put something out there and
mm,
then convince myself that I just messed it up because I didn't wait and do what a generator should do. And I should have worked
mm,
from my sacral and I didn't do that. So now it's not going to work because of this. Ultimately realizing that actually I was using the generator in the wrong way. And even though there's, yes, okay, you can call them what rules or
yeah,
standard things that you do with
yeah.
none of that really applied. This is the part, this is the difficult thing that I never understood. And it was so clear when you did it that even though as a generator, um, I'm not like everyone else, and no one else is, other people out there aren't like me or like others. Everyone's their own individual generator, and it depends on what else you've got going on. So, understanding the rest of my chart made the generator part a lot easier to understand for me. So now it's not a case of, oh my God, don't do anything. Just sit back, just wait for the response, just wait for the. It's not even. I can actually go out there and get my own responses. I can actually do my own thing, and which I have. So because of that, I think with the and understanding that the generator isn't just like a one-trick pony. It's
Mm,
like, we don't have to stick to these rules and regulations. They're a guideline, but
mm,
the way that you did it, like you said, with the more intuitive side that came through, allowed me to understand how a generator works for me and not necessarily for the masses. And
Beautiful.
that has made a massive difference,
Yeah.
a really big difference, especially
Oh,
in the way that I roll with things. The Arts Oracle, for example, has now developed into more parts of the art world. So I've connected with some incredible artists. As you know, I was an artist in the past myself.
yes.
So
Yes.
and I don't practice art anymore, but that was, what my professional qualification was. And connecting with these brand new artists and now getting myself out there in with some of the bigger art galleries. It was never about me waiting to see if one of them wanted me. I've
Mm.
been able to use the generator to create the response that I
Mm.
maybe wanted, but at least put myself out there, which is now working. And I've got all sorts going on, art dossiers and
Oh,
all
that's so
sorts of things.
cool.
I know I need to tell you so many things.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Oh wow. That for me, that's really awesome because yeah, I'm very keen on people realizing what their uniqueness is and
Yes,
without having to stick to sometimes because when it's on when it's written or in different places, obviously it's got to be generalized. And that but
yes,
we're not all the same. So it's the convergence of all the different layers that actually make us up. So I'm so happy to hear that. That's really, really amazing. So,
yeah.
is there anything that you would say to someone who's actually considering having a session and maybe they're on the fence or something?
Yes. Okay, so let's do this in a couple of parts, if you don't mind, if we've got time.
Oh, we've got
Do
plenty of
this in a
time.
few parts. So I feel that if you're someone that has already had a human design reading, and I know often we think, okay, I've already had that, I know, and that's it, right?
Mm.
Um, it's very similar to, if you go to a psychic, an oracle, a seer, or card reader, whoever, you have a session with them and you think, okay, yes, I know. Right. Or the same as going to a doctor. Okay, yes, I know. But sometimes getting someone else to read for you or someone else to examine you or someone, we get that second opinion. And this is no different. So just because you've had a reading maybe possibly before doesn't mean that your reading is not going to be completely different. That's number one. So if anyone is sitting there thinking, I've already had one, you know what? I'm just going to say to you, just have another session with Shirley because it is completely different. I've had a few human design readings, and yours was probably the most unique and the easiest for me to understand, right? Number two, if you've never had a human design reading before and you're um, sitting on the fence thinking, should I, shouldn't I? Is it even going to make a difference? If you're Googling it, right, or if you're going to YouTube or TikTok or any of these things, trying to learn about your human design, it's a generalized thing that you're learning. It's not a personal, um, connected connected human design, right? Even the ones that you can get that you can buy online that are they're all geared towards you. They are still generalized. There is nothing quite like the way you do it. So if you're sitting on the fence, do it because it's definitely going to change how you work in your life and your business. You can use it for so many things. Number three, if you're worried about it taking over your life, which I have heard some people,
Mm.
say,
Yes,
oh, you
thank you
shouldn't be
for
listening
bringing
to
that
human
up.
design.
Mm.
Yeah, because I feel that a lot of people are worried that if they learn something like this, then they're going to somehow be trapped in this new um a new box, right? They've come from
Yeah.
this box and they're jumping into another box. And
Yes.
actually that's so far from the truth. You're jumping out of one box into an ocean of you, right? There's the only way I can describe it is you're jumping into an ocean. You're going from that little, what were those little do you remember those sea monkeys that we used to get when we were back in the 80s? I'm a bit older than you, aren't I? So those little sea
So
monkeys,
you
and
drop them and
you'd
they,
watch them, and
yeah,
they were like little creatures that actually
yeah,
grew. I mean, they were
yeah,
real, but
yeah.
they're I think
Yes,
they
I
were
remember those.
worms or so. Yeah. So remember how we'd sort of like sit and we'd feed them and we'd watch them kind of grow and they'd expand into this water and it'd be like, oh my God, and they actually grew and they started to swim around. It's almost like becoming don't want to say a sea monkey, but a mermaid. Let's call
Right.
ourselves mermaids.
It's
Mermaids and
good enough.
mermen. Let's not go down the side of the sea monkey. I do come
Can't
out
do
with
it.
some funny things. But I'm going back to my childhood. Oh, I remember the times. So it's taking yourself out of a box, right? Like that sea monkey, it would come in a nice box, the packaging, taking yourself out of that and putting yourself in the water where you're actually going to grow and expand. That's what I was trying to say. But let's call us mermaids and mermen. And that's what's happening. So when you work with when someone works with someone like you on their human design, they're not being put in a box because it's impossible to be put into a box when there's so many things that are all you with so much freedom of expression and freedom of being able to take everything that you've learned from you, right? I've been able to take everything that I've learned that you've given me in that human design and expand it in my own way because now I understand it. Now I connected to it and it's not putting me in a box. It's freed me
Oh, that's
into
so
the
gorgeous.
ocean.
That's beautiful. And I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm so glad because yes, many people
Yeah,
think that once they do a human design that they're going to filter their whole life through that, through a very rigid lens. And it's not
exactly.
like that at all. It's a play, it's a yeah, all of those things together give you so much more freedom, actually.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean that I'm living proof of it and I'm quite a strong woman, shall we say. And I'm not scared of saying it as it is. I mean, we could have come here and you wouldn't have had a clue that I was going to say, listen, she's terrible. Don't go to her. And I would if you weren't good.
Yeah, yeah,
Not
yeah.
in not in such a not in that kind of way, but
I look, no, I get it.
I
Yeah.
am the kind of person that's like, listen, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to give your audience the absolute truth. And
You're an
if that's
oracle.
the truth,
You can't
I'm
possibly
afraid you
be.
shouldn't have brought me on. Exactly.
Yeah,
But for
yeah.
me, the truth is that you expanded. I mean, from the age of 7, I knew that I had these very deep gifts, the oracle, the seer, and the psychic, which of course all three are very different from each other,
Yes.
although they do blend together. And I'm quite lucky that I do have all three and not just one or two. I've got all three. Um, and I've progressed over the years. I mean, I'm 52 now, so that is a lot of years where I've realized I was born with this and I've
Mm,
developed it and really honed into, my gifts and really made them like super strong and ultra strong. But what I was doing with them was it was a little bit kind of, I don't really know what to do with it all. It's like, it's here. I was doing great. But now with the human design, now I understand the impact, the bigger impact that that can have. So now
mm,
it's started to turn and twist and
mm.
change things at this part of my life. All of a
Yeah,
sudden, I'm now starting to realize, okay, this is the part that we do. So
yeah.
yeah,
Amazing.
I will be forever grateful for that.
Oh, and I am so grateful you allow me to read for you. I'm always
Oh, it
blessed,
was amazing.
grateful when anyone allows me to do that because it's very personal, it's very intimate.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
thank you, Nadine. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're so welcome.
And
You're so welcome.
yeah, and for those of you there, if you would like a reading, you can contact me in on Facebook and on my website, shirleyjoffrey.com, and I'd be happy to do it. Thank you.
Do it. Absolutely do it. She's amazing.
You.